your inclination when you see obstacles and we say, okay, you're going to try to herd the horse through the obstacles, is to get really attached to getting the horse to go through that particular thing or over the tarp or whatever it might be. And we also, have in our whole entire sort of human culture, we get very attached to success has to look like A, B, C. And so when we're doing that, we get super focused on what the outcome is going to be, and we forget about how to stay grounded in ourselves and how we're wanting this to feel for ourselves, how we want to treat ourselves as we, journey through this experience of life, and how we want to connect with the other person. I don't know about most of you, but I certainly grew up with the dialogue that, doing it all on your own and persevering is a huge strength. And while I certainly can play that key on the piano when I need it, it doesn't end up creating, a sense of connection and community and support that would actually allow for a lot more creativity and a lot more things to transpire. So, when you go in, we're going to ask you to be nonverbal, which usually makes people pretty frustrated. And it's very intentional. It's not intentional to make you frustrated, but it's intentional to take the language away, the verbal language. And that is so that you can pay attention to how things are feeling. And you can pay attention to the nuances of what's happening with the body language. So there's a lot more information than that, than when we're barking orders at each other about, you go over here and I'll go over here and we'll do this and hey, speed up a little bit. And we're usually not listening when we're doing that. We're pretty much not listening when we're doing that. So we're going to take the words away so that you can become silent. When you first go in, we are going to ask you to notice what is an intention you want to set for how you practice treating yourself in the exercise. The first thing, that where everything always begins is the relationship we're having with ourselves. So something that I might do when I'm in there would be to give myself permission to be more playful. Or it might be to give myself permission to call a timeout, stop the exercise, and get my partner's attention when I need a minute to slow down. To give myself permission to ask for help. So I don't know what it'll be for you. Doesn't, anything that you might want to practice in there that feels like it would be helpful. And again, we treat this like a meditation. Good morning. We'll fill you in a little bit on the pieces that you missed. While you're in there's a couple of things that are helpful to realize just on the mechanics of how to move a horse around. I want you to just imagine that where I'm putting the line in the sand here, this very sort of squiggly, crooked line, if you can, just imagine that line is your horse's front feet, their shoulders, that's those front legs. When you're trying to encourage a horse to move, you want to actually do it from behind their front legs. So you want to be behind their shoulder line. Even if you're halfway across the arena, if I'm even this horse here, if I'm right exactly equal to that horse's shoulder, look at him feel the attention of everybody. I'm right across the line of that horse's shoulder. It's like I'm standing right on the middle of a teeter-totter. The horse isn't quite sure, do you want me to turn around or do you want me to keep moving? So we're imagining the horse's head is at the clip and the coils is my horse's tush, okay? So if I step behind that shoulder line and I'm now behind those front legs and I encourage my horse to move, now the message is going to be pretty clear. The gas pedal is in the back. It doesn't work that well unless you're changing the direction to try to get your horse to go forward from the front. That kind of just sends them the other way. Also, they don't understand pointing or patting. So they're not like a dog. So if you're like, look at that way, like you have, a little bit of a spasm muscle in your arms. So they don't understand that. Instead, this is going to be a communication exercise between you and your partner to express energy, to create movement with your horse. And when that horse is moving, then you're going to work out between each other how you're going to influence or shape the movement. And when you're really kind of settled and grounded in yourself, then you can actually feel and connect with your partner. And when that connection happens, the horse understands the message really easily. Well, usually what ends up taking place in here is we're really hard on ourselves. We want it to go perfectly. We get like, okay, we're gonna do this one, then this one, then this one, then that one, and then if we're gonna be the best team. We're gonna get all the obstacles. We're gonna get them in a row, and this is gonna be fun. And then we get in there, we get super competitive, and we start to try to do the first obstacle. I'm tense and tight. I don't really see you because I'm 10,000 steps ahead of myself, and now we're on totally different pages. And in a few minutes, we usually want to strangle each other. So that's kind of sometimes what unfolds in this exercise, and it's a little bit set up to provoke that in you because that's much more like real life. We have all these, goals and expectations and things we want to do, and now how do you actually treat yourself in that environment? And how do you connect with others in that environment? Some things you do are really, really in service to you. And some things you do you may not realize are not. Yeah? So for those of you that came in a little bit late, I was explaining that this is going to be a nonverbal exercise. So you're going to be herding your horses through an obstacle course. And you won't be talking to each other verbally, but you will be, kind of sensing and feeling what's going on with each other. So it's a little bit more like a game of charades if you need to communicate. Okay, we'll demonstrate it in just a minute. Does anybody have any questions about what I just pointed out in terms of encouraging a horse to move? The other thing that I can tell you is a couple of things on safety.